Right here, we'll come back. It's still the morning cruise right here on Living Proof FM 92.0. Like I said earlier, that I'll be having a guest in the house, and my guest is right here with me. And yes, he's Abraham O'Shani, the founder of the Young Breed. He's also an education and youth development expert, and I know he's a father, a husband. So here with me is Abraham O'Shani. Abraham, you're welcome to
Good
the
morning.
show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Good morning.
It's nice having you here.
Thank you so much.
First and foremost, seeing your brief profile, your portfolio, I see that you're more concerned with the youth.
Yeah.
Then my first question is why?
Okay, a number of reasons. If you look at it, young people, the successor generation, young people, the future of any nation, any country, any organized sector is the young people, right? So there's that need for effort, concerted effort to be put in the development of young people. And much more for me also, it's this mission, it's my life mission to young people, and that has been what has anchored my, all of the projects I do around youth development. So it's about building young people to be holistically developed. That's the mission to the world of young people, right? So that such that you find a new crop of young people emerging and they are not deficient in any area, right? So whether it's in competence, in vocation, or it's in their safety, it's in their emotional development, in their social, it's their spiritual development, they are holistically developed, and that way we can be sure of the future, right? I mean, that's so germane, right?
Yeah, that's really a good one.
That's really the reason,
Yes. So I want to ask you what are particularly your targets on the youth?
We actually have a broad range because for young people, we have had a number of organizations done different charter and plans on that. Some say, the African Union says, young people are between this age. UN says. So for us, in our context, young people are a combination of both children, teenagers, and young adults, right? So because it's like a chain process, right? So the young adults we have today were formerly teenagers. The teenagers were formerly children, right? So we that's our own context. So we picked our breeding process. We call it a breeding process. That's why it's young breeds. So we pick our breeding process from the place of childhood, early childhood development to all through adolescence to young adulthood. That way we are sure that the equation, the production line is well catered for at every point, and then we can be sure of the young adults we can envision, right? But for a number of our projects, we have defined brackets, right? For example, for the youth development conference, it's typically for more of the younger adults, right? So persons 18 and above, right, 35, that's the range for. So for each project we embark on, we have similar age ranges for them.
Yes, so please. You are now your let me say, should I say your ministry now?
Yes, it's a ministry to young people.
So I would say it's majorly it begins with the catch them young process.
True. Exactly. Now you don't just catch them young, you catch them young and you nurture them early. I mean, that's a major part that every true story you look at today, true success story of young adults, was a product of someone who started early and was also nurtured early, right? So it's not just going to be, so they call it nature and nurture, right? So yes, you found that niche, you have started that development, but you need to nurture it early on time, right? And that's when the dividends will be much appreciated. If you start nurturing at 40, it's good, but it's late. Right? And these are realities that we need to begin to work with, even in our various sphere in development of young people alike, right?
So, what's your motivation? What motivated you into this?
Well, like I shared, it's my life mission, right? I always summarize that my life mission is molding minds and raising young people, right? I'm one of the persons that advocate that for every human there's a mission. You are sent here on earth right? Just like every product has a purpose for its production, right? So for every person God has created and you have arrived on earth, you have a purpose to fulfill, a mission to fulfill, right? And a task to undertake, right? And so summarizing my own life mission is what I call molding minds and raising young people. And that's the mission that that galvanizes and brings everything together around what I do, both in every corner of my life, right? And that's my strongest motivation, really, Naomi. Yeah.
Wow, that's really good. Like,
Awesome.
I love this a whole lot. But let's look at the general problem you have discovered among
Exactly.
young ones.
I like that. Thank you so much for that fantastic question, right? So I know 2020 has been a very daunting year, but generally, even beyond 2020 and even before 2020, right? So we found a gap. I call it a gap, just typically like a gap. And this gap is what I often call it the life skills deficiency. So I'm going to try to explain. So young people growing up are always looking out for how to meet their needs. And by needs, we're not just talking of physical needs. We're talking about young people are looking for the needs for safety. Young people are looking for the needs for competence. Young people are looking for the needs for belonging, a sense of belonging.
Yes.
Young people are looking for need for community, right? They're looking for the need for. We have about 5 major needs of young people. Now the challenge is that. Because of the cluelessness of growing up as a young person is not able to meet all of these needs. And sometimes in the bid to trying to meet one need, there's a mistake. It's not done the right way, right? Some people call it youthful exuberance and all of that, right? So that created a gap in the development of young people. For some that were able to meet their need for safety, they were not able to meet their need for sense of belonging. For those that were able to meet the need for sense of belonging, they were not able to meet the need for community. For those that were able to meet the need for community, they were not able to meet the need for competence. That talks about vocation, career development.
So there's always a lack.
So there's that gap.
That gap is there.
And that gap is what a number of persons who have done some great work, even in the youth development field, Pittman, Cahill, and all, have called that. That's what youth development fits in. It's a process that helps young people in their growth to adulthood, right? To bridge that gap. So for us, when I find that gap, I give it a name. I call it a life skills gap, because it's not something that's cool. It's not taught in school, right? Meeting the needs of young people holistically is not a skill in school. It's what UNICEF calls life skills based education, right? So now we're even trying to mainstream life skills in formal schooling, non-formal schooling, and all of that. Why such that we can now decentralize these life skills that will help young people to make informed decisions as they try to meet their needs. And not just one need or two needs, they are meeting the needs holistically. That's the game changer, right? Whereby you see a well-built, cute young lady, a well-built, cute young man, but this man is not deficient. He can make informed decisions in career, can make informed decisions in his emotion, can make informed decisions in social development, can make informed decisions in spiritual life. You can make this. I mean, that's the beauty. Today, you find a number of young persons that don't from their degree programs, but they are still not informed on what next to do. So it's not by age. Now we know that maturity is not by age, right? You see a person 30 years of age but can't make informed decision. The parents are still saying this is what you should do, right? I mean, that's not bad. Our parents will give us guidance, but your own intrinsic motivation should be more than any intrinsic motivation, right? And that gap comes from the lacuna that have existed in the development process, because young people have not been equipped with the life skills to make informed decisions. Wow. I mean, that's a major gap, really.
Wow. Oh, thank you. Like, I am really getting this seriously. But majorly, you said something about meeting the needs, young ones meeting their needs. Yeah. And we want to talk about meeting the needs of the young ones in the aspect of the recent protests that went on last month. Yeah. But that will be taken when we return from this short break. Meanwhile, do not forget, you can ask your questions by dropping your message on our chat room. If you are listening on our app or the website, you can drop your message on the chat room, ask your questions, or you can just join us by calling into the number 0906 075 3770. 0906 075 3770. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Stand where my stand is.
Please.
Straight.
Make it stand like this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The voice is from this side here.
Okay.
Man, the connection. The connection.
The political surprise.
You're welcome back. Yes, I'm still hanging out here with Abraham Woshini, who is a founder of the Young Breed, an education and youth development expert. And he's also telling us about the young ones, yes, catching them young, one of the things. And majorly, I asked a question earlier before we went on the short musical break. And we said, with the recent protests that came up, the youth agitation.
Okay.
We want you to say something. What's your view about the whole scenario?
Okay. It's one of the topmost passion I have is nation building. I mean, it's a passion that it's a natural passion that grows with any citizen of any nation, right? You love your country, to keep growing, right? Not just in infrastructural growth alone, but even in human capacity, human capital development, and appreciation alike, right? So the recent protest has not just achieved one goal, it has achieved many goals, right? Okay. Primary to what it has achieved is that it has shown the yearning of Nigerians, right? And it has shown the gap also that existed in leadership. By this form of leadership now, I'm referring to governance and positional leadership. It has shown that gap, and this time around, one of the unique things about it is that it showed the gap to the whole world. Right. And yes, we know that we know that one of the major challenges of Nigeria is leadership, but that's just been at some little pockets. But now it came to the fore and it was so blown open, right? And one of the lessons that we are seeing from the agitations of young people alike is that there's a whole lot, like we shared earlier on, the needs of young people have not been given an enabling environment enough by the government, right? And so it's not necessarily about meeting the needs directly in itself, but giving an enabling environment even for the needs to be met in the first place. Okay. It's just like you want to make a meal, right? First, you must have the ingredients. So, but beyond having the ingredients, you must have a cooker to make the meal. Yeah. Even when you have the ingredients and you don't have any means to cook the meal, nothing will happen, right? So it's creating that enabling environment. So it has shown all of that, and going forward, it's a wide opening call. It's a clarion call for a number of persons, young people alike, seeing that our future is in our hands. And like one of my mentors, we always say, you are absolutely responsible for the outcomes of your life. I mean, and so it really showed that yes, there's going to be a lot of, you won't get to any system where the system is perfect. Corporate organizations are nations are institutions and all of that. No system is perfect, but in the journey to perfection, there are certain things that can be done. So, but going forward, it's about we young people, citizenries of various nations, owning it up, right? Taking responsibility for the outcomes we want to see. So if we say from all of our agitations, this is what we want to see, the question will now say, what can we do, right? What can we do? That's so the narrative is changing from just this is what we want to what can we do.
What can we do?
right? And that is a big question in a whole lot. It translates into the electoral process, it translates into your own, personal investment, translates into, even in my own personal life and each person's personal life, what can I do, right? Because a nation is built by the citizenry, right? It's about a combination of all of us that make up the outcomes we want to see. Right, so like we're sharing earlier on that the young adult today was a teenager before, the teenager today was a child before, right? So you see that line of production that when you see in a production factory, when a product is seen as defective, it's not just about that product. They look at the entire line because that defect shows that something went wrong in the line of production, and this it's a big concern and a big gap that shows that somehow, perhaps there has been something missing in our production line of raising human capital, right? And that boils down to education, right? And this also gives a big concern for the kind of levity that education, or preferably, let's put it this way, that formal schooling is received, currently in our nation. You talk about higher education, some, number of federal institutions are shut down. I mean, that's the factory for producing young leaders through formal education, right? And so when that factory is also shut down, just picture any factory shut down. I mean, production can't continue. There'll be shortage of that product in the market. I mean, come on, many things will go wrong. I mean, even capital will be lost. And so you find that education is the factory for refining young talents, raw talents. When that factory is shut, you can imagine, the devastation that can create. So there's this whole concern that this protest has even opened up, opportunities, and it's a big concern. But again, we are going forward, taking responsibilities, right, beyond just agitation, individual responsibilities, collective responsibilities alike.
Right. So do you think that the young ones can be given this opportunity even after the agitation?
Well, I think I was sharing about this somewhere a while ago. Okay, so opportunity in itself, is not what solves a problem alone.
Okay.
Opportunity, someone said that success is when opportunity meets you on the dancing floor.
Okay.
If you are not on the dancing floor, when the opportunity comes, it's still not success. Now, the point of that is that opportunity in itself alone cannot solve a problem. But talking about capacity with opportunity, then will be a great plus. Right, so if you look at it, when we look at it through governance, for example, right, look at the last elective, opportunity. Let's use that word, opportunity. Yes. The last elective opportunity gave rise for a number of, young people to come to the fore, and vie for elective offices, right? And when the opportunity came, of which that still had its own, stringents that were not catered for, right? But we still had a number of persons come to the fore. Now, down the line, you look at it and say, let's do an evaluation of what has happened. How have they fed, the young people we're talking about? And of course, you also agree that, even from the recent agitations, that the opportunity alone in itself didn't solve the problem.
Yes.
Right, so we did a conference, a while back, international conference on African development covenant, and one of the things that we hinged at a session on youth governance was the fact that there is a need again to the gap we shared about, the life skills gap, to take these kind of life skills to younger people, right? Talking about integrity, talking about public service. These are skills that needs to be learned, right? Okay. Opportunity alone can't build capacity. Opportunity gives a platform for someone who is already prepared for such opportunity. So you must be dancing for that opportunity to meet you on the dance floor, right? Yes. So I'm very, pertinent and passionate about the capacity building process of young people who are streaming across to, different sphere of the economy, governance, education, economy. It's about the capacity. That's why education remains the primary refinery to building this kind of young leaders we want to see.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, you said something on the skills to be learned.
Okay.
And I want to ask, how do we create such skills, especially in the aspect of education? Because looking at the educational sector now, we are having problem with the ASU strike.
Yeah, exactly,
and
exactly.
everything. Those things are actually, let me say, a whole session is out.
Almost out, 8 months down.
It's just out of
You're right.
which means the students who are supposed to be learning, like you said earlier, who are supposed to be learning, they are stuck. They are stuck in the environment, and doing what is the question. Doing what? So how do you think that we can actually create skills aside the educational sector, aside this our primary refinery environment? How do we create skills?
Thank you, Naomi, for that. I'm going to share an analogy trying to drive this point home, talking about skills, right? Skills is not just the skills learned in school, right? What the World Economic Forum released the top 10 skills for 2025 recently, and when I looked at I was training somewhere recently, and I shared about one of those skills. So one of them talks about leadership and social influence. I mean, that's one of them amongst the 10, leadership and social influence. But now when you look at the array of other skills they mention, critical thinking, data science, and all of the likes, you find that the narrative about skill is also evolving. Now, I haven't said that. Skills, it's a combination of what I call acts and. Right? I'm going to say that again, acts and. Now, what that means is that, so if I want to acquire skills as a young person, I'm not just going to acquire skills by my hand alone. I'm also going to acquire skills with my acts. What that means is that it's the blend of the hand and the art skills that delivers the right use of skills. So a quick example: someone is very skillful in project management, for example, right? I mean, that's a global skill. But as good as that skill is, as good as that hand skill is, the person also needs to acquire art skills. Let me give you an example of art skills. That's actually the core of life skills. So, for example, critical thinking, that's an example of a art skill. And so, you beyond just knowing how to do something with the hand of craft alone, you also know how to engage with the art. Talk about emotional intelligence. I had it was not to me personally, but I just saw it recently yesterday. So this was a conversation. It was a conversation online, and these are adults, by the way. And this person, gave a stinker message to the other person that sent the message. And when I read the thread, I was concerned, because these are adults that are meant to also model the right behavior to other people. Now, when you look at it, they have the hand skills, but the art skill is missing. Right? There's a way you communicate with people. There's a way you relate with people. Why? Because we are social beings, right? We have emotions. We are emotive in our feelings and behavior, right? And how you respond alone, irrespective of your hand skill, matters to a situation. So one of the advice in the narrative about skill and skill development is that, as good as it is acquiring the hand skill, acquire a blend of life skills with it. That's the art skill. Such that your hand skill, because anybody can acquire the hand skill. I mean, there's nothing unique about the hand skill itself, right? But you see, so that's why organizations today are not just looking for those who are skilled in the hand skill alone. When they write the JD, the job description, and they put a skill set, you see some non-physical skills in there. Those non-physical skills is the core of the differentiator between who is shortlisted or not. We say we need someone who is resilient. That's an amazing skill. Wow. Someone who can work under pressure. We need someone who can work in a team, collaboration. We need someone who is analytical. I mean, it's a whole lot, but I'm sure a whole session on skills will do justice to that.
Yes, we're not going to disclose all of that now. And we have the Youth Development Conference coming up, organized by you.
Okay, so Young Breeze is putting up this Youth Development Conference, and this year actually is going to mark the 8th edition. I mean, it's something we've had since 2013, and it's impacted thousands of young people, both offline in Nigeria and offline to a number of persons hooked on, right? And this year's edition is unique because 2020 has been a daunting year, no doubt, right? But beyond just all of the concerns and the swings and all about the year, it's about we saying, oh, how do I get my feedback and prepare for 2021? And so because of that, our theme this year is what is titled Anchored and Fortified, and this is very crucial at a time like this where there's been a lot of swings and sway all through the year. It's time to there's something I share about this. Now look at this, Naomi. Look at something happened, and look at it. People talk about freedom, young people especially. They say, I want to be free, I want to blow, I want to do this and all that. That is good, no doubt. But freedom is overrated.
Okay.
Right? So if you look at it now, you want to be free, no doubt. But what you are saying by you want to be free means that I'm free to the consequence of my decision. That's the meaning of freedom.
Wow.
Because every decision comes with a consequence. So when you're saying I want to be free, what you're literally saying is I'm free to the consequences of my decision. Right? So, I want to free, I want to be free, I want to go out, I want to do this, no problem. What you're saying is I'm free to the consequences of my decision. If you're okay with the consequence, then you are truly free. Right? A car is free. You can be moving on the road, drive as fast as you can to the speed limit, no doubt. But the car is only as free as it continues to drive on the lane. If the car veers off the road to pass us by, the car is no longer free. Because that freedom is not wanted again.
Yes.
And so 2020 has brought that kind of a sway, even with the pandemic and all of that. And so getting back on the anchor, when you see someone on a swing, it goes left, right, it's sweet. But that swing, if I want to stop the swing, I literally can just put my feet back on the ground because I can get back to my anchor. So even when I'm being swung, I know that I can get back on anchor.
Sure.
Now, so that's the point, that beyond the swing and the sway, we can get ourselves back anchored, right? And beyond getting anchored, you can now fortify. Fortify means to make stronger. To make deeper.
Like
right?
energizing yourself
So for us, what we are doing is that we're doing that across 4 major plenary sessions: fortified career, fortified lifestyle, fortified home, and then you talk about fortified inner man, right? Because that's what youth development talks about. Like we shared, it's about holistic development, and that's why we call the conference Youth Development Conference, such that it doesn't just meet one area and we are deficient in other areas. It meets the needs of young people holistically. This is amazing.
Yeah. So what date do we have?
It's this Saturday. we're just counting down 5 days away, and 28 November. It's by 1 p.m. It's online, and so there's no barrier to join in. Like the live stream link will be shared to all registered participants. Registration is ongoing on our website, youngbreeze.org/YDC 2020. youngbreeze.org/YDC 2020. The registration is ongoing. It's to close a few days time by mid of this week, and it's going to be an awesome time. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Any fee attached?
There's no. It's actually free, right? Since 2013, it has been open access to young people. Young people who are intentional. Young people who are visionary. Who want to, make 2021 even much better, right? And even life beyond, right? Want to get your anchor back, irrespective of whatever has happened. Remember, you are absolutely responsible for the outcome of your life. Everyone. It's not about background, my parents. I'm absolutely responsible, right? And it's on that premise that we've made that access open to as many who want to take responsibility and build the capacity, right, to fill that gap, in the development process of young people.
Wow, that's really a nice one, and I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know if we have any question right
Thank
there.
you. Okay,
Do we have any question
we
there?
don't.
Okay.
Thank you for everyone joining in. Yeah.
It's really a nice time having you right here on the show. So, Yes, to wrap up this segment on the show right
Okay.
now, Abraham Owusheni, please, how do we contact you for more information?
Okay, so two ways we can be reached online by mail, inquiry@youngbreeze.org, inquiry@youngbreeze.org, and also by mobile phone on WhatsApp on +234 813 648 2707. +234 813 648 2707. Inquiries will be received both by mail and online, so we get things going and get set for you. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you so
coming,
much.
for
It's been my
coming on
pleasure.
the show.
I appreciate it.
And we look forward to a great. Like
I look forward.
I can't
Yes,
wait to get registered right now.
Please do. I look forward.
So
Right.
it's the morning cruise right here on Living Proof FM 92.0. We'll be back shortly to give you the trending segment. Do not go away. We'll be right back.